Hi, my name is Sara Davison, best known as the Divorce Coach, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, today I'm going to be talking about what to do next after your breakup or divorce. Now, I know that so many of you will be thrown into massive overwhelm after your breakup. And please know that this is totally normal. We all go through an absolute roller coaster of negative emotions. I know I did when I found out that my husband no longer wanted to be with me. And not only that, he'd met somebody else who he was moving on really quickly with. He was madly in love and quickly started another family. So I've been there too. I've done all that ugly crying on the bathroom floor. I know how it feels when it just seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. How are you ever going to get through this? Well, I'm going to give you some tips to help you with that. First of all, what I would say is it's important, super important, to surround yourself with people that care about you. But, and I'm going to caveat this, okay? Sometimes our best friends, our closest family members are just as hurt and betrayed by the breakup as we are. Okay, maybe they're upset, maybe they're devastated too, maybe they really cared about your ex and they can't cope and they're finding it hard to move on too. So sometimes in those cases, not always, but sometimes the advice they give isn't always positive or constructive. You know, I had a client who said to me once, she said, oh, my best friend came over, we had a bottle of wine and I chopped up all his clothes, put them in bin bags. And when she turned up, well, it was her first appointment with me, I will add, she popped open the boot of her car and there they were, all these bin bags. Now, I know that in the moment that can feel really satisfying, okay? It can feel like good karma, but unfortunately it doesn't have good consequences. And really what we want to do is do the right thing at all times. And in my experience, I know that's not always the easy thing. But sometimes friends who are very well-meaning but also emotionally engaged can actually really take the consequences and maybe make things a little bit worse for us. So just be aware. I'm not saying don't hang out with them. I'm just saying be consciously aware, okay? Be consciously aware that other people may be grieving the end of your relationship too, or may have another agenda maybe. And so just be super careful. Surround yourself with people who are going to give you good, constructive advice and support, who really love you, and importantly, make you feel good about yourself. Because I'm sure you'll be doing enough beating yourself up. You know, it's normal, by the way, for our self-confidence to be super low at the end of a breakup. It's just normal, okay? Especially if your partner's cheated on you, especially if you weren't the one to end the relationship. Quite often I see clients whose partners have moved on pretty quickly and it seems like they don't have much emotion. Again, this is normal if your partner's been making that decision for a long time. Now, maybe they haven't told you about it, again, quite common, but they may have been going through that process of this isn't working, let's try, let me see what I can make of this. And then actually, you know what, I'm pretty much over it now. Now I'm going to let them know that I'm leaving. So at that point, they're so much further down the line than you will be. So again, there's quite often these differences in how you feel to how your ex feels at breakup time. And I guess if you're watching this, you're one of the people who's really finding it hard right now, but please know you're not alone, okay? This is a cycle. We all go through it at the end of a breakup, if it was a loving relationship or even if it was an unhealthy relationship, but one that you were really invested in. We all go through what's known as the loss cycle. These are 5 different stages you go through after a breakup. And that can be denial, the first stage, when we maybe don't want to acknowledge this is really happening. Are any of you going through that right now? Does that sound familiar? Maybe where you haven't really wanted to talk to anyone else about it because it makes it more real. That's normal, by the way. Your body may be in shock and can't really cope with that. And that's why it'll hold stuff back for us so that actually you might feel in a week's time, a month's time, you feel a little bit stronger and then have a bad day. And that's because your body is a bit stronger, so you're able to cope with a little bit more. So sometimes that's why it feels like a roller coaster, up and down and up and down, totally normal. So the second phase is anger, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. We do get angry. We might be thinking, why is this happening? How could they do this to me? That again is very normal. Some of us will feel that more as frustration or stress if you're not somebody that shows anger, whereas other people will have, shouting, maybe rage even. The third cycle is the third stage of that cycle is bargaining. Now, bargaining is kind of an odd phase. It's when we will do anything to protect the status quo. So you may know that it's bad and the relationship was toxic, but you may want to try and get it back, to get back on an even keel with something that you know, even when it's not good for you, that's what you know that we want to keep, right? So sometimes what we do is we will do things to maintain that relationship, save that relationship, change ourselves. Are you asking yourself, what's wrong with me? What can I do better? What can I change to keep my partner? You know, what could I have done differently? This is all natural part of that bargaining process, trying to figure out if you can maintain the relationship in any shape or form. Usually it's not sustainable. You know, usually what we'll do is we'll have to make pretty massive compromises, if not sacrifices, to stay in the relationship if it is that damage that somebody's left. Therefore, it can be a really, really difficult phase. But again, there are lots of things you can do to power through that. And then we come to the fourth part of the cycle, which is depression. Now, it sounds bad because depression is not fun for anyone, okay? But it is part of the grieving process. You have to go through that. You will be depressed during that period, but that does not mean that you're going to be depressed forever. It just means that in that period of time, we are letting go, we're grieving the end of something that was super important to us. And we kind of have to go through that to come out the other side. So it is okay to go through it. It doesn't mean you're going to be sad and upset for a long time. It just means that this is part of the natural healing process. So it's okay to cry. It's okay to have those duvet days. It's just when they tip over into being the norm, that's where we have to step up and make some changes. But it is normal to go through that depression phase. You will come out the other side, and that is to acceptance. Now, acceptance is a great place to be because you've taken off your rose-tinted glasses. You know your ex isn't coming back. You've accepted it, and you're thinking, right, okay, we're not going back, but what's next? And this can be where I see a lot of clients who are stuck, okay, stuck in that acceptance, can't go back, but don't really know how to go forward either. And that's quite often because the future is either a blank canvas with no detail or a black hole. So what we need to do then is help you take your power back, okay? And this is what everything I do is all about. It's about empowering you to throw some color on that canvas or shine a light into that black hole. Because it's very hard to move forward towards something and think, oh yes, I'm excited about that, let's get going, to get the momentum to move towards it if you don't know what it is. Like, you'd never leave your house, would you, in the morning if you didn't know where you were going, because, well, you wouldn't even know if you got there. So what we've got to do is identify and start creating and planning something for the future, okay? Things that get you excited, things you'd love to do. So thinking about creating your breakup bucket list, for example, anything you can do now that maybe you couldn't do during your marriage. For me, my ex didn't like me having coloured nails. If you've noticed, my nails are pretty colourful these days. So, you know, what is it for you? It could be small, like painting your nails, or it could be something bigger. You know, one of my clients decided he was actually going to go and climb Everest. He had always wanted to do that, but his wife had been against it. She was worried. I mean, it is a very risky thing. But now his kids were older, his wife had moved on. So this was time for him to think about preparing to climb Everest. So he joined a climbing club. So what is it for you that you can get on your breakup bucket list to throw some color on that blank canvas, or to help you shine a light into that black hole? The important thing to know is that you're not alone. Okay, you are not alone. Surround yourself with people that feel good, as I said at the beginning, is super important. But also understanding the stages you go through, because you're not going mad, you're not going crazy. Some days you take, you know, you have good days because you're taking positive steps forwards. Other days you feel like you've gone backwards. And that is all normal, part of the healing process, okay? But please know, you will get through this. You will get through this and you will come out the other side. And it is possible to turn that pain that you're feeling into your power. It is possible. Now, there are lots of things you can do to start building that up. But in the early stages after your breakup, please focus on looking after you. Self-care is the most important thing. Take time out to have those long baths or watch the movie that you've been wanting to watch without beating yourself up. Get outside, take some long walks. Look up when you're outside. Don't look down at your feet, look up. Be present in the moment. Notice the sounds, look at the trees, notice the animals around you, smile at people who are walking past you, even if you don't feel like it, okay? Looking after you is going to be super important. And planning in your diary to have something to look forward to that gives you a little bit of sparkle. So what is it you love doing? Maybe it's having a coffee with a particular friend. Well, let's get that booked in your diary. It's a small thing, but I promise if you have something to look forward to, again, that starts to shift the balance and dial down those negative emotions. Because remember, you control how you feel. You control the remote control to your brain. So I know it's tough right now, but it's time to take your power back and start looking after yourself so you can get into a stronger position to then be able to dial down some of those negative emotions. So do stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, click subscribe, and then you'll see the next videos that are coming out too. I'm going to be covering all sorts of areas like heartbreak, how to banish it, also things that are going to get you back up on your feet and out there again. If you also want more support, I do run online support groups as well, Heartbreak to Happiness online support groups, which are available on my website, saradavison.com. But please click to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. I really hope you did and it helps you. Remember, you're not alone.